I would like to introduce you to our MC of today's event, Megan Kruger, who is also one of the founding members of ICT's Board of Directors. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Megan Kruger in a round of applause.
Thank you, lovely Zodwa. Thank you. Monweni nonke. Namkele nonke. Good afternoon, honoured guests, and by honoured guests I mean every single one of you. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Megan Kruger. I'm from the original board founding members of ICT, and I'm here to extend you the warmest of welcomes on this most auspicious of occasions. It's my honour and privilege to be here, and I thank you all for making the time to come with us and celebrate Infinity Culinary Training, or ICT as it's affectionately known and called by all who are familiar with us. Such a good-looking crowd staring back at me. Welcome, I say. Namkele kele nonke. On this day, this exact day, 10 years ago, a small school was started. It was a humble beginning. The ingredients for this were a cake, a dream, some pots and pans brought by friends in a run-down old kitchen in District 6. There were some young people who said they were willing to learn to cook if it could get them a job somewhere. There was a man from America who said he would help a new friend realize a long-held dream. And now here we are 10 years later. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is the graduation of the 33rd class at Infinity Culinary Training, and this is the class that represents the graduation of the 500th student. It is also our 10th birthday. We are 10 years strong and getting stronger every day. I stand before you to tell you some of the things I've seen in the past 10 years. I want to give you a little bit of history about ICT. I remember when Barry came home one day and said, I've got a friend who wants to start a cooking school in Cape Town. He says it's his dream. I think I'd like to help him with that. What do you think? So I sat him down and I said, okay, let me tell you what it means if you say yes to your friend. It means that you will be doing far more than you think you will. It means that you won't be just doing business cards. It means that we'll have to find the money between us to get this thing going, and the resources will be much more limited than anything you're used to in your own country. He said, I think I'll sleep on it. Okay. I also said, if you're serious, you're going to change your life completely. I did tell him that. So he said, I'm going to sleep on this, and he woke up the next morning and he said to me, okay, I'm going to do it. I said, okay, if you're sure, let me know if you need any help. We have some friends with big mouths and even bigger hearts. Shortly after we started talking about it, Georgina Hamilton stepped forward and said, I will give you the seed money from the Gavin Relly Trust Foundation. She gave us 18,000 Rand. Armed with this money and some pots and pans from our own and from our friend Eugenie, who's here today, students from a church group in Khayelitsha who became our first students, and a kitchen in an old building in District 6, the first course began. That was on September 14, 2009, exactly 10 years today, as I've said. There was no curriculum to speak of. The teachers were Barry and his friend Spencer, and both of them were making it up as they went along. The students all attended the classes and they learned how to cook. We begged and borrowed equipment and spoke about this to anyone who'd listen. There were 8 graduates from those first 11 students, and miracle of all miracles, they got jobs. They were able to earn money, having been to Infinity Training for just 3 months. Those were exciting days. They were hard days too, since Barry and Spencer were just stretching in every direction, trying their best to find ways to teach their students enough for them to get employment. Barry worried terribly that he wasn't doing it right. He wasn't a chef, he didn't know anything. He was always worrying that it wasn't good enough. I was saying, whatever you're doing, it's more than anyone else has ever done for these students. Just keep doing it. It was frustrating and it was terrifying and sometimes overwhelming. Many times we started a course without knowing how we were going to finish. We only had money for 1 month, and we knew that the courses were 3 months, and we had big eyes, both of us. And I said, let's just keep going. This is good work and beautiful work. The money will come from somewhere. And you know what? It did. The money came. So it was glorious so with the frustration and the worry and all that, there was also this thing that happened. We had these students who were shining, their faces and hearts shining up at us, and they were filled with hope, and their dignity had been restored. And just 3 months before, when we met them, they had no hope, and they were sad and beaten, and here 3 months later they were working. It was deeply inspiring, and it still is. All the while we were looking for money to keep it going. At one point, Barry wrote to every single person he knew, he had no money, and said, please give us $5 or $10. All of his American friends stepped up and sent, most of them, much more money than we asked for. One of them, Leslie McNeil, is with us today. She sent much more money than we asked for, and she continues to support the school and contribute to the school to this day. Thank you, Leslie, visiting from New York. There are countless stories of last-minute miracles that kept the school doors open and somehow kept ICT going. Jill Singer, our marvelous lawyer, who is another of our board members and a person who's been with us from the very beginning, has been instrumental in arranging ongoing sponsorship at some very crucial moments. Then about 5 years ago, a big miracle happened. We were introduced to Woolworths. This was the miracle that changed the whole picture. Woolworths graciously stepped up and built us the most beautiful kitchen and classroom ever. We couldn't be happier or love our lives more now that we are here in town at Woolies. We have a home that we now know we can come to year after year. Imagine, after not knowing how we were going to finish a course, to this. So go and take a look at the kitchen and classroom if you haven't seen it. It's wonderful. It's a glorious working space, and we feel very, very lucky to work there. So this is what I've seen. I've had the privilege of witnessing the school begin as an idea between two friends and grow into what it is today. I've seen the school go from not having enough money to finish a session when it began to becoming this trusted and beloved school which has helped transform the lives of over 500 people. 504 to be exact. 80% of our students are working. Our students contribute collectively 25 million rand into the communities that wasn't there before, because most of our students have never really had jobs or been in jobs where they have a career path. So that money is new money into the communities. Some have become head chefs, and some have gone on to higher learning. About 45 of our students have gone on to higher learning, and then we've got head chefs and chefs all around the Western Cape and Johannesburg. Some students have traveled the world, and some are finding work in America. All these students keep our name high and shining. We are so proud of each and every student and graduate at ICT. So I've seen the sleepless nights, I've seen the weekend SMSs with the students in need, I've seen the struggles for pennies, I've seen the uncertainty and worry about staying open, and I've seen it all overcome. I've seen obstacles that would have made most any other organization disappear. Barry Berman, a screenwriter, an American who knew little about this country, began the school to help a friend realize his dream. This friend did not keep this as his dream, and he soon left. Barry stayed. He nearly didn't, but he did. I've seen Barry use his heart in a way that he had never done before. I have seen him have his heart grabbed completely, his heart being captured by the courage and tenacity, the joy and the humility, the willingness of every single student, graduate, to change their lives with total conviction. Our students fall down 7 and they get up 8. Each student that has attended ICT is a hero in their own right. The obstacles they have overcome just to be in class each day are huge. We teach cooking here, but that's not all that we do. To graduate, each student has to dig deep and confront themselves honestly and deeply. They have to overcome many personal, emotional, physical, spiritual, and political challenges. All the graduates have taken this opportunity with both hands and made sure they have succeeded in class, thus opening the doors of success that they had never even known existed. Never mind knocking on doors, now knocking on doors, and these doors being open to them. It is the students themselves who have provided most of the inspiration to keep the school going. It's their personal transformation that has inspired the many sponsors and donors to contribute to keeping ICT going. All of our hearts have been opened by seeing the transformations of individuals and families. We've seen the individuals flourish and their hearts open too as they begin to realize they have a future and that dreams do come true. I've seen them, the students, the staff, and Barry, their leader, discover places inside of themselves that they had never imagined. I've seen them growing and rising to heights unimagined by them before. As they grew, so did the school. I've seen them loving their lives and finding success. I've seen everyone who comes into contact with the school experience the same thing or something similar. I've seen dignity restored. All of us captured by the heart, and all of us once captured, never letting go. I've seen the school succeed against all odds. By the end of today, we'll have graduated our 504th student over the past 10 years. And now we will graduate more students each year. We have dreams of expanding to Johannesburg. We are not stopping here. Some of our students have built houses, some have traveled the world, and some have opened businesses. All who want to work have jobs. Every student, by the time they graduate, already has a job. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of seeing inside our school, please turn to your right and watch a little 7-minute tour through the last 10 years. This is the story of the little school that could and would and has and will continue to. Infinity Culinary Training.